I said, Mitchell, these are my stories. Hi, what's on today? Today, life first quality, autism rocks and rolls. Now, before we get most of the time, not our psychiatrist. If you're starting to be diagnosed with autism, please see a physician. I only speak based on my experiences. I also know the international. They were found on ytmp3.com. So, I have a mission statement to review with all of you. The mission of Autism Rocks Rolls is to take the stigma off of autism and other conditions that may have disabilities. People with special are not broken and not to be fixed. Those who have conditions or be sought to be pitied, there's nothing to be sorry about. I also have some paid for the following. Since it is gala season, we have started getting donations from several businesses. So far, we have got donations from the following: Clark Fox, Holiday World, Kings Island, Indie Sympathy Orchestra, and Chef Kent Rollins. Thank you all, it is sincerely appreciated. Allow me to examine Jay Wilson CPA in greater detail. Jay Wilson is a certified public accountant. They can help you with accounting, payroll, and taxes because of their 20 decades of experience. They want to relieve you of your financial stress. Don't forget to think about how they could help you. I might as well add looking at the Moose Lodge in Bloomington. The Moose may have been established by its founder, Dr. Henry Wilson, who built the initial house in Louisville, Kentucky in 1888. When the Moose first operated, its primary goal was to give men a place to socialize, celebrate life, and interact with one another. At our neighboring lodges, you can engage in a range of activities by yourself or with others. Performances, athletics, live entertainment, holiday celebrations, and themed dinners are just a few of the many events held at the Moose. Now go check them out. Our yearly gala, which will take place there in March, is one thing you can check out. Don't forget to attend. And there are some people I'd like to thank. Since my last episode, I've spoken to Cody McLaughlin from Mopod. Mopar works with many of the largest media and podcast companies worldwide. The Oprah Winfrey Network, Warner Media Group, and the HubSpot Podcast Network are among the most well-known media firms that depend on Mopar to carefully manage their podcast growth marketing. Like an advertising agency, but without the agency expenses, they collaborate with their clients to ensure that all of their ads are on brand and effective in growing their audience. Even though we are not collaborating with them, make sure to check out how they can support your podcast. As a gift to my mother, see to find me my mother with more information for Mother's Day. I'm nominated for the 2025 Banana Mom Awards. Great job, Mom. Voting opens on May 1st. Stay tuned for more information. I do have a new blog called One Lucky Person. Feel free to take a read. Not only do I have a new blog up, but my new Autism Rocks and Rolls podcast Hijack series episode is out. This episode is about popular entrepreneur James R. Elliott, who despite having ADHD and OCD, has 7 successful businesses. Go on and watch this man be inspiring. Finally, I did go on the Soul Sessions podcast with Jessica Hudson. What an exciting podcast to be on. Calling from Orlando is my next guest, which is Don Morse from Autism Anglers. Don has been in the outdoor industry since 1994. When he found out his son Landon had autism, Don knew nothing about it. His friends and family were very receptive when Don told them. He knew fishing was excellent therapy for people with all abilities. So in 2018, Don started his nonprofit Autism Anglers to bring awareness and acceptance on a larger level. And ever since 2018, several supporters have stepped up and given extra cackle to anglers with autism all over North America. Autism Anglers also plans on expanding the program to include fishing trips with guides and charters. Let's welcome Mr. Morse to Autism Rocks and Rolls. Don, how are you doing, buddy?
I'm doing pretty good today. How are you?
Oh, not too bad, not too bad. So my first question to you is, what does running a nonprofit organization that involves the autism spectrum mean to you?
It means the world to me and my family. I started, like you said, back in 2018, and it was just a way to bring awareness to autism to anglers, my new anglers. So I wanted them to learn what it was all about. It morphed into more. Started giving away free tackle, free fishing trips. We've done several events. We want to do more in-person events, starting here in the Orlando area, where we can actually get autistic anglers on the water with somebody to help them out. They need the help, but mostly get that therapy.
And you're in Orlando. It's actually a great benefit because I just know a lot of conferences and a lot of events happen in Orlando, Florida.
Absolutely. ICAST is a huge one. I mean, that's the biggest industry trade show there is, and that comes to Orlando every year. And the fishing is great. I mean, we can fish 365 days a year here.
What were your initial thoughts when you decided to start a nonprofit organization involving the autism spectrum?
I wanted people to take it seriously because I was learning about it. I guess you could say as a new autism parent, learning about what's going on, different ways to help my son cope, different ways to parent him. And I wanted it to be legit. I went through everything, got the lawyers, got all the paperwork done, just so we could get out there and say, hey, we are a real organization. This is what, when you give to us, this is what it's doing.
Do you remember when people actually started seeing oh, this is the real deal.
Yeah, actually, it was right away. Immediately, they started taking it seriously and they saw what I was doing. They saw the passion behind it. Haven't had anybody look at us and say, you don't know what you're talking about, or why are you doing this? Everybody understands completely because look at how many people are on the spectrum. It affects everybody. They either have a loved one on the spectrum or they know somebody. Everybody's taking everything we're doing to heart.
Based on your experience and having a son with autism, how do you think a person with autism brains operate?
That's a tough one there. Everybody's different. And that's why it's a spectrum, because the old saying, once you met one person with autism, you only met one person with autism. And we've seen that from some of the events we've done. And we've seen people that fishing doesn't help at all. It's therapy for a lot. It doesn't help everybody on the spectrum. If for some reason, if we're working with a young guy or a young gal that isn't quite their thing, we help them find out what is their thing and help them find some other way to do what they're interested in.
You're not wrong there, but when I did my research on you, you said that in every interview, when you met one person with autism, you met one person with autism. Why do you believe that's so important to hone in on?
Finding that thing that helps you out, that can rewire your brain maybe for just a short period of time. I've seen anglers that have stems that never stop, or verbal stems or movement stems. Once they focus on one thing, focus on that float out in the water, focus on the fish pulling on the hook, you can see that those other worries or other things that are going on in life just disappear.
What is the most rewarding and the most difficult thing about running a nonprofit organization that involves the autism spectrum?
I say with everybody, the most important thing and the most rewarding thing for me is the smiles. When we get letters and we get pictures back from somebody that had opened up a box of tackle that somebody had donated and we were able to gift out with love to somebody, we get videos and we get pictures back with a fish on something that we sent to them. It's worth everything that we do.
I can definitely see that because you said before there are some people out there in this world with autism who want to fish, but they're either intimidated by the hooks or it's just not affordable.
It can be pricey for sure. We don't send a lot, but we do send a little bit of everything. So we send some hooks and some worms, different things that you need, as well as suggestions on ways to make it safer. Pinching the barbs on the hooks if they have barbs on them. If you can't swim, make sure you have a safety vest on. We tell caretakers, if you're taking a young one out that needs help, focus on them. Don't try to fish yourself. Completely focus on them. And the biggest thing is action. Take anybody. I don't care if it's just a young neurotypical or somebody that's on the spectrum. And you need that constant action. Lots of fish. Even if they're little, tiny fish, at least you're catching something.
Something's better than nothing, as they say.
Absolutely.
So it's also the hardest part of fishing when it comes to those with autism. Can you tell us why?
Different things. Could be something physical. My son had a big problem with turning the reel handle, so we had to figure out a different way to do it. I invented a tether that goes around the wrist and around the fishing rod because I'd seen where some of the young men I was working with, they would cast it and they would just let go of the whole fishing rod. I've even talked to a young man at ICAST a couple years ago who was on the spectrum. He's 24 years old. And he's a professional fisherman, so he has no problem with the gear or anything like that. He's kind of figured out how to hone in on things and make it work for him.
What advice would you give to others who are considering running a nonprofit organization involving autism?
Do your research and get help from somebody that's already running a nonprofit. I was working with a vets group here in Florida, and the president from that group really helped me out. A lot of pointers on how to get things started, who to talk to, what paperwork to fill out, the proper way to do things. Your board is a lot of work.
You talk about vets. I know you work with veterans who have PTSD. Did you learn any life lessons from those veterans who had PTSD? If so, what were some of the lessons you learned?
Patience was the biggest thing that I learned with them. One of the things we were doing is that we would teach them how to build a fishing rod. And then on day 3, we'd take them fishing.
Would you say your patience level has improved? It's having landed?
Absolutely. I'm a complete different person than I was 13 years ago. He turns 13 next week. I tell him every day that he saved my life.
Is that why he's your biggest hero?
He is my hero. That's absolutely 100% true. I wish I could be more like him. And he just has no cares in the world. It doesn't matter. He doesn't care what people think. He's just himself. That's one thing that anybody on the spectrum could definitely benefit learning. Don't worry about what other people think.
I learned that at 16, but I wish I could have learned that at Landon's age. But let's talk more about autism anglers. After your friends said, oh, dude, you should start this nonprofit program called Autism Anglers, can you tell me the step-by-step what you had to do to start Autism Anglers?
The biggest thing was coming up with funding. It's not cheap to get all the paperwork and fill everything out. I suggest always working with a lawyer, making sure everything is done correctly. I didn't want to have to invest our personal money into it, which We have. We make donations ourselves. What I did being a custom rod builder, I actually made 12 matching fishing rods, and they were numbered 1 through 12. And my friends and some of their friends bought them and helped pay for our startup costs and getting that going. And then getting the paperwork filled out with the federal government, with the state government, making sure everything was in line, getting a board together, having the board meetings, and ongoing process. It's definitely not an easy task, but it's one that we love.
If you're doing a nonprofit from personal experience, you're in it for the work. If you think you're going to make $1 million, you might as well scratch the door on that.
My wife and I are the main two that do everything, and we don't get a penny back. It's pretty self-sufficient. There's sometimes we're struggling and we can't send out as many boxes as we'd like to because there's not enough funds. And there's other times where it's plentiful. It's in waves, but our supporters are great. We have a huge following on social media, a website that we keep up ourselves, web store, and we take care of all of it.
Right, and I'll put the website on the show notes, but it's autismanglers.org. If you guys got to check this out, make sure to visit autismanglers.org. But there's something else on your website I'm interested in. It's called Awesome Anglers. Can you tell me about Awesome Anglers and what it does?
Yeah, so the Awesome Anglers program is the way that we give back. That's our gifting of tackle to autistic anglers all over North America. So Canada and the U.S. It's absolutely no charge. Well, I guess a small warehouse that has a lot of tackle in it. We box it up and we send it out, and it's all done through either donations or we'll go and buy it if we need to. But we've got a lot of tackle. Just go to the Awesome Anglers page. You fill out a quick form. All we want to do is name, relationship, and just tell us a little bit about the angler, and we will send them a gift. It's usually 2 to 3 pounds of tackle. We've got a thing too in the web store where somebody can go on, they can sponsor a box. So that helps pay for the postage and the box and the packing materials, all that. So we have people that will sponsor 2, 3, 4 boxes a week or a month, a year, and then that helps as well.
And I'm guessing through this program, you've had a lot of life-changing experience.
So the biggest thing is getting new friends out of it. I have a lot of supporters that have become really close to me. It has helped me meet professional anglers. It's helped me talk to people at large companies that want to help, want to know more.
Has there been any life-changing experiences through the clients? Like, did someone finally say their first word, fish?
I have not heard that yet, but I have had some great stories shared with me about nonverbal. I had one of the dads, he told me, he says he never said a word. And then one day we were in a grocery store and he started singing a Christmas song because it's what they were listening to at school.
I want to talk to you more about your hero now, Landon's. Because of autism, we know he's going to have struggles, but he also is going to have talents. So what does Landon struggle with because of the autism? And what would you say are some of Landon's talents due to his autism?
Yeah, so Landon struggles with, a lot of basic things, even getting dressed. I mean, he's going to be 13 soon, and he has a hard time getting his clothes on the correct way. He has some meltdowns. He's working on those. As he gets older, he's figuring out ways that he can then work through those. He has a lot of stims that helps him out. His talent, the kid is amazing remembering things, dates, when things happened, a list. He can go through, you can write a list of 50 things down. You can ask him 50 words. You can ask him what word 12 is. He'll tell you what it is. I don't know if he's got a little bit of photographic. One of his other things, his biggest passion is Disney. So he can tell you almost anything to do with Disney.
All right, here's my rule. You can talk about Disney, just don't let him see Let It Go, or I'll kill him. I did learn this during an interview, his song list. Tell me about that.
At a young age, he would make song lists on Apple Music. So he would come up with a list, 12, 15 songs long, and then he would have them numbered, list A, B, C, D, E, F. And you could ask him, you're like, okay, what's on playlist D? What is song number 6? And he can tell you what it was with about 99% accuracy. We sat at dinner one time with a friend of mine, and I asked him, I'm like, check this out. Pick one of these and ask him what song that is. And he just kept rattling it off, and it was absolutely amazing. He would pick a movie. He would have different songs from different movies in a playlist, so they didn't even match or weren't in order. It was incredible, and it didn't matter how many lists there was, how many playlists, how long it was. He could tell you what song it was, but very, very accurately.
I have a Google Doc. I looked it up just a few seconds ago. It has a list of 39 pages of songs. He probably can remember when I would have gotten that song if I was him.
Like with some of his toys, he can tell you what day of the week he got it on. He did that the other day. We were asking him when our birthdays were last year. What day was my birthday on? He told me his mom's, his grandma's. He knew what day of the week everybody's birthday was last year.
Wow. Sometimes I forget my own grandma's birthday, so he's already ahead of me on that one.
There you go.
I'll tell you this too, with clothes, I get that 100% because my problem is sometimes I forget my shirt's inside out. So my president, I tell him hey, buddy, do you realize your shirt's inside out? No. And I used to do that too when I was a boy, mine was because the shirt would go over my head. I didn't like that. That was terrifying. I didn't like the dark as a kid. I don't like the dark still as much, but it's something I can manage. I sleep with the light off.
There you go.
As a parent, do you ever worry about Landon's future? Because I know he's having meltdowns and having a hard time getting close. Do you worry that stuff's going to go on his shirt for the rest of his life and he's going to have a meltdown at Walmart and you won't be there to help him?
That's one of my biggest worries right now. As we're getting older, when he's getting older, I think he'll probably, end up living with us going in the future. I don't see him moving away. But as far as him going outside and having his shirt on backwards and inside out, it's who he is. It bothers me more than it bothers him. He's a good kid. I think he'll be okay.
Well, I mean, maybe if only with Florida, they could let you go in the Walmart shirtless. In
Yeah.
Miami, apparently, from what I've heard from a friend, they do a lot of stuff with limited clothing. It's more of a bathing suit than what you would see in Indiana, which is what I'm wearing, shoes, pants, and a shirt. You were talking about earlier these vocal stems that Landon does. Why don't you tell me a little more about that?
Noises, songs, he repeats a lot of words and phrases from movies. Sometimes are in public can be a little uncomfortable because people don't know what he's talking about. We had in the past, one of them was, "Can you help me find my dog?" And he would say that out in public and people are looking like, what's going on? A lot of repeated phrases. He does that a lot.
Well, I'm going to ask you this. Did you know these vocal stems have a term?
I know the word
Echolalia.
echolalia. Yeah.
That's what it reminds me of, echolalia.
Yep.
And I know that for a fact that is something those on Spectrum do. I remember one of my guests in Seed 320, Define Yourself by Chris Mitchell. He would do that with the radio station. He'd like hit 103.3, and then he would repeat out of nowhere sometime when he would retire. Hit 103.3.
The older he gets, the more I'm around Landon, the less that kind of stuff bothers me. The other day, he was making noises and playing the drums on it, kind of rocking a little bit. People were looking, and I was like, "You got a problem?" He's good. Let him go.
Well, how you had people, though, come up to you, and maybe when Landon had a meltdown or when Lena was drumming, they asked what was the problem, and they didn't understand, even though you try to explain to him, this guy is on the autism spectrum.
It hasn't happened too much. We get looks, of course. When he was younger, people were thinking he was just throwing a fit. So that gave us a chance to explain a few things. I've only had one person make some negative comments. I just looked at him like, he's autistic. What's your excuse? More than that, I get other parents that'll come up to me and go, "You're doing a great job." It's kind of becomes like a parent club, I guess, where you see it and you congratulate them and say, "Hey, you're doing good. You're upset now because your son's having a meltdown. You did good." And that reassurance really helps out a lot.
It does a good job for you personally because it's showing the other parents you're in the right direction. You know what you're doing because there's some parents out there who just are lost.
Absolutely. And for those parents that are lost, I highly recommend finding either a Facebook group or a group in your local area where you can get with other parents. We've all dealt with it. We've all had to go through hugging our loved one to keep them from hurting themselves or hurting somebody else.
Yeah, you'll be able to finally find someone who understands why there's a hole in your wall. So you are an outdoorsman. You enjoyed it for the longest time alive. So what do you specifically like about the outdoors?
It's therapy for me too, just like everybody. I love the nature. I love animals, whether I'm hunting or fishing, watching the birds, watch the otters, watching squirrels and deer, turkeys. I absolutely love it. It's my happy place.
And the noises are beautiful. I am on the autism spectrum and I have sensory issues. A C123 sensitive feelings, more information. I had to bear with cars honking. Drives me bananas. I'd rather hear my ear turkey go gobble gobble.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I guess that's partially because I was raised in the country. Is that why you think you like the outdoors too? Because you were raised in the country?
I was raised in the country-ish, I guess. Never close to a big city, but I spent a lot of time on my aunt and uncle's farm. It's peaceful.
So you did some research when Lane was diagnosed. So I'm going to ask you to think back to when you did do the research. And can you tell me some of the research you did after Lane was diagnosed? What books did you find? What podcasts did you find? What were some of the stuff that actually helped you?
So I'm not a big reader, but I didn't do the book thing. Love podcasts. I didn't find too many podcasts back then. There's more of them now. I'm finding. I found a lot of Facebook groups for parents with children on autism. UCF here, University of Central Florida, they have a program called CARD and PALS, and they had parent classes. So we could go and do the parent classes with them. They were always there to answer questions. Very good. They service 40,000 families in the greater Orlando area. They're have a plethora of information there.
How ironic. Fun fact, I actually spoke at a card conference once, so I know about that in Orlando. But what's this PALS? I'm interested in learning more about that.
It's their sister side of things. So card and pals kind of go together. Card is more of the resource side, where pals is their outreach side.
I'm sorry, I don't follow.
The card's going to be more like doing the research, helping with classes, different resources, things like that. And then pals puts on the events.
Oh, they're the fun side.
Do the fun side.
So you also said fishing is excellent therapy for people with autism. What research did you find that made you go with fishing?
I was beginning the Facebook group. I had parents reaching out to me and go, my son is completely different when he's on the water. And now that's all he talks about in school. It's fishing. I kept hearing completely different, completely different, completely different. And the more I heard that, the more I saw, okay, let's see what this is all about.
So in a previous interview, you said autism is a misunderstood condition. So how can society, not people like us, because we know tapping into their interests is actually the best idea, but how can other people around us can make autism more of an understood condition?
Just telling everybody, telling the masses. Now, I picked anglers because anglers is a huge portion of everybody in the United States and Canada. More people fish than do not, it seems like, or have fished. Groups like Autism Anglers or other organizations, groups. If I see a kid that may be screaming in the grocery store, maybe he's not a little brat. Maybe he's having a meltdown going on. Be a little more understanding.
So as I said before, you do live in Orlando. I gotta know, man, what's it like to live in Orlando? I know it's like to visit, but what's it like to live in there?
I love it. Call it endless summer here, and it really is. It's not for everybody. It's crowded. It's busy. If you don't mind sitting in traffic, it's a great place to be. So, but so much to do. There's life here. There's always something happening. There's always something to do. There's always change. From Michigan originally, I can go back to my hometown and nothing changed. Here, I'll drive down the road and where'd that neighborhood come from? It's a constantly evolving area.
Your answer to this question is going to dictate where the next question goes. Have you later ever visited one of the many theme parks Orlando has or not?
Oh, yeah. We visit Disney often.
Okay. Does it take a little more of a process to take someone with autism to a theme park from your perspective?
It did. Now, we go enough that it doesn't anymore. I know in the first years of going, there's a possibility that we'd had to turn the car around and go back. He'd get all excited, hey, we're going to Magic Kingdom today. And we drive a half an hour and he's like, I don't want to go. And we learned after a while, don't force it. Just turn the car around and go home. There's some days where he'll go for 11 hours and he wants to keep going. There's other days where you go and after the first or second ride, he's ready to go home. Even though if we want to keep going, we have to say, all right, we're done. And we just leave.
That's my thing with theme parks is I'll go for a while and go ride the roller coasters, put my hands in the air, have some fun. But when I'm done, I'm done. I don't want to stay up past midnight riding a ride.
And the other thing we found too is food options, Luckily, I can't speak for the other theme parks, but Disney has been really accommodating. We've gone to a restaurant where they didn't have landed approved items on the menu, but they actually went next door to their sister restaurant and brought them some chicken strips and french fries.
Oh, so Landon has diet?
What he likes. I say landed approved is what he likes. He lives on chicken strips and french fries.
You know what? That's not bad. If I could do that someday. Good one to try too. I don't know if they'll be as approving as Disney, but maybe try Cedar Point. If it's a roller coaster, but there's all other stuff to do. But I say it's a good one because there's a meal deal that I got once upon a time when I went to Cedar Point. They would definitely have chicken there.
But I know we went to a restaurant and they didn't have anything on the menu that he liked at all. We were there. It was kind of a family deal. We were with grandma and grandpa and we were there. And, we're all ordering our food. And he's like, I don't want any of this. Luckily, same resort, right just down there, there was another restaurant and they had french fries, chicken strips. The waiter went down there, got him some, brought them back, plated them up for him, and brought them out. So,
wow. That's what you call community right there.
Absolutely.
Do you think Orlando is definitely accepting community for autism as a whole? I'm not just talking about Disney World, the restaurants. I mean everywhere.
It seems to be. I know the theme parks, Disney and SeaWorld both, they have sensory areas. They have people trained sensory. But Orlando's a big melting pot. I mean, everybody here is from somewhere else. And it does seem that everybody's really accepting of any ability, any nationality. Anything goes here in Orlando.
Yeah, I noticed that too when I went to Orlando. It seems like to be a lot of the Middle Eastern population is in Orlando because out of anywhere in the world, that's who's going to accept them.
Hispanic populations, like you said, Middle Eastern, there's a lot of Mexican populations. I have some really good friends, that were born and raised in Mexico and live here now. Nobody's from Orlando. Everybody's from somewhere else, it seems.
So you also are into kayaking. So when did you get into kayaking?
Autism anglers got me into kayak. Some of the supporters that were big kayak fishermen. Kayaking is like a family thing. The groups feel like a family. I never really got into the tournament stuff. A little bit. I tried it. It wasn't really my thing, but you're not worrying about a big gas motor screaming behind you. You're just floating around on a lake, listening to the birds and catching fish.
Someone wishes to attempt kayaking for their very first time. What would be your top piece of suggestion?
Find a buddy. You want to always go out with somebody. Don't try to go out on your own. You need to find somebody that is an experienced kayaker and go with them. I don't suggest ever going on a little kayaking. I've done it. It's always better to have a buddy. I mean, you're in a plastic boat on the water, especially down here. We've got gators, we've got snakes, we got boats that go 80 miles an hour or 90 miles an hour that don't see you. It's always better to go out, find somebody that's experienced and go out with them. Kayakers love having a friend with them.
Yeah, well, here's the deal. Kayakers like having a friend with them. They may not like me. Because I'd be the guy acting stupid the whole entire time. Like, I'd be the one whacking you in the back of the head. You're like, wasn't me. Maybe Landon will do that for me. So I know at the age of 2, you took your very first fishing trip. So to the best of your ability, I say it because I know you slept since then, I want you to do your best to describe what your very first fishing trip was like.
Oh, man. I can remember probably around the 4 or 5-year-old range, but growing up in Michigan, there was farm ponds everywhere. I remember being out with mom and dad and afraid to touch the worms, afraid to touch the fish, but somebody was there to put it on and take it off. And it was what it was. It was a worm and a bobber in a farm pond catching bluegill and filling up buckets. We did that every chance we got when I was little.
But you continued that too into 16 years old because that was your very first job. So can you tell me about the first job you got when you were just 16 years old?
So I started working in a local hardware store. They just needed somebody to sharpen lawnmower blade, fix screens. But there was a fishing and hunting section. The owner kind of took me under his wing and taught me about hunting and fishing a little bit. I love fishing anyway, but taught me on how to sell it. Since I was already an outdoorsman, I fit right in, and he let me work at the sporting goods counter as much as I possibly could. So it was really cool seeing so many people come in and you can make suggestions. So, hey, I used this last weekend. This is what I caught. Giving that suggestion, and the 16-year-old kid in high school, somebody comes back and say, hey, you were right about that one. I need some more of those. Really made you feel good.
All right, you got to do this for me then about teaching and selling fish. Try to briefly summarize and try to teach our listeners how to sell fish.
It's just experience. So I've sold fish, I've sold bait. It's an experience. If you're fishing, talk to somebody that's fishing, find out what they're using, and go for it.
How do you make it interesting though? Because my brand, I also think it's a fish.
It's the tug. It's the fight. Feeling something fight back, catching them and watching them swim away, and maybe you'll catch them again someday. I talked to one dad whose son named every fish he put back because he knew he would catch them again.
So in retrospect, what you're doing is fishing in the market.
Right.
I do know about one friend you were actually interviewed by, Jim Crowley. So what has your friend Jim Crowley done for you personally and professionally?
Oh man, Jim's amazing. Jim has definitely helped us bring awareness to what we're doing through his interviews. And as he's talking to people, he puts our logo on his jerseys. He became a great friend. And I got him into rod building. He's able to help us out with a bit of promotion and just being there with a hug. And I give him a hard time about how he does it every time I talk to him.
I know someone else that you know, and blows my mind. It's a pro fisherman named Zach. So can you tell me about pro fisherman Zach and how'd you hear about him?
Yes, yeah. What an amazing young man. Zach is so cool. Oh my goodness. I haven't talked to him in ages, but yeah, what a great kid. Just full of life and just loves fishing.
I know I saw he was like a pro fisherman at 13 or 14 years old.
Oh man.
That blew my mind.
You can get really good fishing local stuff. That's what he did. He just got out there, fished all these local tournaments, started winning. He's so young and just kept on going.
So you've been talking more about your families. How has your family, and I'm talking about your wife, your mom, uncles, and aunts, have supported you and Landon?
Well, my wife's, she's the rock of our family for sure. She keeps me grounded a lot when I still have my struggles with things. I don't have much of a family, but her family, her dad, her mom, her stepmom, brothers, sisters, amazing. And they love on Landon. They look at what we do. They don't know how we do it, but they love that we do it. And they just love him, everything about him, and for what we're doing with the organization.
I'm going to ask you this. Why do you not have much of a family, according to you?
My parents passed away.
Oh, so I pray a lot, brother.
But my wife's family, I'm like a son to them, so I call them mom and dad.
What were your mom's family's reaction to Landon's diagnosis? Were they scared? Were they like, okay, you know what? He's on the spectrum. Let's do this.
Yeah, that was it, man. They knew that we had it. At first, there were some things like they didn't understand, like, well, why can't he do it? Or let him do it. But after a while, they're like, okay, no, I get it. They see different things different ways that we do things. They help out as much as possible.
Right. And that's all you can ask for with family is if they can help despite not understanding why.
And it took a while before we were, comfortable leaving him alone with somebody. But his grandma and grandpa live right here in Orlando with us. We go over there and spend a couple days with them, and we have no worries at all anymore because they get it.
Right. And hey, that's good that he has a space. Maybe sometimes talking to grandma or grandpa might be better to talk to them than the parents because let's be honest, parents can be annoying sometimes. I think we can all agree with that. So we'll wrap her up here, Don. And these are just for some fun questions. So what is your paradise meal or favorite food and why is it your favorite?
Oh, man.
And I'm going to say, is it fish? But that might be kind of rhetorical.
Yeah, right. No, it is actually salmon. I love salmon. Doesn't matter how it's cooked. It doesn't matter if it's sushi or if it's grilled or fried or what it is. That's really about the only thing I miss from Michigan is the fresh salmon I like.
What is your favorite movie or TV show and why do you like it?
Ooh, I'm not much of a TV person, but I'd have to say my favorite movie of all time. Oh, you know what? Lando would tell you what it is. Is The Last Samurai. Always love that one. There's a lot of meaning involved in it. Beautiful scenery, really cool story, and blood and guts.
So what's been your favorite vacation you've ever taken and why did you enjoy that vacation very much?
We haven't had too many like go away vacations, but I have to say, I guess my favorite vacation is every day I get to spend with Landon and Janine at a theme park or at a zoo. I guess we're in a permanent vacation down here in Florida. If it's a weekend and we're having a staycation at a resort and going to Animal Kingdom, that's all I care about.
They've been there your whole entire life. You gotta pay it back somehow. My final question is, are there any good memories you're gonna tell our listeners about? If you do, why do you remember that memory the most? So before you answer, I would like a specific sentimental memory that made you feel good inside. You forgot the world's a cruel place. Your autism anglers, your family. And a funny memory that made you fall on the floor laughing. Could be with Landon, could be with autism anglers. Your call, you want to answer, bub.
One really meaningful memory is happened this last September. Some folks that I met in the fishing industry invited me to come up to Michigan and do some salmon fishing on a fly rod. Never done it before. We had this beautiful place out in the country, right in the river. The views, the getting away, the sights and sounds or the lack of sounds, the wildlife. It was absolutely incredible. And meeting them through fishing, one of the gentlemen that I've become really good friends with, his son, I believe 8 years old now, also on the spectrum. So we had a lot to talk about while we hung out and did all that. Super meaningful there. As far as like falling on the floor laughing, it's a daily occurrence with Landon. Yeah, he tells some great jokes. I told the story today. When COVID first started, I was working from home. I was a salesman at the time and on a computer and on a phone all day. Landon come out around the corner to my office and he was wearing like a feather boa shawl. He had a Christmas hat on. He had some weird clothing on. And he looks at me and he screams the other room. He goes, he's not working. He's playing on the computer. But I took a picture of him in that outfit and I posted it on Facebook at the time. And I said, the greatest thing about working from home is your weird coworkers.
What's someone on the other line?
I wasn't on the phone at the time. I was doing an email.
I was like, oh God. And someone's on the other line. I might be laughing because I would be like, yeah, you're not wrong there, buddy. He literally is playing on a computer, just in an adult form. Well, Don, thank you so much for your time. Is there any closing remarks you want to make, my friend?
I appreciate you inviting me on. Everybody visit autismanglers.org, check out what we're doing, and look us up on social media. Type in Autism Anglers in Google, you'll find us really quick.
I can speak from experience. I did the same. That is 100% true. Don, thanks for starting this nonprofit organization. It means a lot to me. I appreciate what you're doing for autism, just like I'm trying to do as well. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for joining for this episode. Please tune in for another episode coming in very soon. I hope you enjoyed listening to me ramble. Thank you very much.